Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Monday morning saddle shop briefing, episode number 26. It's March the 22nd, and we're back in the shop this morning. We have been busy this weekend, all last week actually. We got quite a bit done, had a lot of stuff going on, lots of projects, and just trying to make a little progress. I feel like we're kind of starting to get a little bit caught up after the freeze, and that was, a week out of the shop. Like I said before, a week out of the shop kind of usually ends up being 3 or 4 weeks worth of being behind, and it's kind of hard to get caught back up after something like that when you lose an entire week. So, and that's kind of different for me than when you take a vacation, because like we usually go to the beach for a week once a year and just hang out and have a little decompression time and recharge the batteries and have a good time with the family and stuff. And when we didn't do it last year because of the move, we just couldn't afford to go and sacrifice the time out of the shop because we already had like almost a month down moving. But usually when you do a vacation like that, at least for me, I feel a little bit more prepared there because it's something I'm planning on, and so I can get caught up in the shop as far as getting some projects completed, not starting new projects, kind of push and pause, and that allows us to kind of take a little downtime. But whenever it happens right in the middle of, the hustle and bustle, and you've got projects going, and then you can't come to the shop or you lose a week, it really tends to throw a little bit of a wrench into stuff. And so we're still working through some of that, but we're getting caught up. I feel good. I feel good about where we are. We've got some repairs out of here that have been lagging back. I've got a couple I need to camp on this week. And speaking of repairs, we had the third video of our saddle cleaning process posted yesterday, which would be Sunday. So if you're watching this on Tuesday, you know how to do the math. By this point, you got it down now. But anyway, we got that video posted. Funny deal with that video is, if y'all are following my stories, I'd said on Saturday video was fixing to be up. Was it Saturday? No, it's Friday. Friday I said that the video was going to be up Saturday morning, and I intended it to. Had it done, had it edited, had it uploading to YouTube actually, and then realized that I had left out all of the oiling and conditioning of the leather out of that edit. So I'm a saddle maker, I'm not a video editor, but what happened was I had all the footage in the second video. We had washed the saddle, and for some reason in my mind I had thought that I had put all the conditioning and everything and oiling of the leather in that video. And so when I edited the third video, all it was putting the saddle back together after everything had been oiled and conditioned. And so right as it was uploading, I was like, wait a minute, I found a file that had all the oiling and conditioning in there. And I went to the second video and looked at it. It wasn't in there. And I had spoken in that video as the fact of, in the next video, we'll do all that. So anyway, long story short, I had to go back. I pulled that video down off YouTube, go back in there, edit all the footage, because I didn't even edit it. It just had it in a folder. Edit all that footage and then put those two videos basically together. So that's why you'll notice it's a little bit over an hour long. It's because basically it was 2 videos worth. I tried to keep them around 30 minutes. I probably should have broke it up into 4 different videos instead of 3, but I think 3 is a good number. I think 3 is better, and so the last one's just really long. But everything's in there. Now there is a playlist on our YouTube channel that has from breaking a saddle down all the way through washing, oiling and conditioning, and putting that saddle back together. So you're more than welcome to use that as a reference. You're more than welcome to refer to that video series to your customers if they have questions. A lot of times if you're offering a clean oil and polish in your shop, we're going up on a lot of our prices right now just because we haven't on a lot of the stuff in a long time. And so we've always constantly have to keep an eye on our pricing and make sure that we're where we need to be compared to where my time needs to be spent. And so right now we charge I think it's $250 is what I've got right now for a clean oil and polish. And I think that's fair for the amount of time that we spend on them and what we go through with them and do to them. And so you charge whatever you want to charge. But whatever you're charging, if you have customers like, man, that's a lot, I'll just wash it myself. You can say, hey, that's fine. You're more than welcome to. Here's a video if you want to check it out. And it shows you how to do it properly as far as what I consider properly. You may consider my way not proper, but the way I do it, breaking them down, washing everything, and you can show them that. 9 times out of 10, when a customer sees that video or sees all that you go through, because I've had it happen years ago where they've said, I'll just do it myself, what do I do? And I'll tell them what to do, and they'll bring it to you halfway broke down and say, I don't have time, this is more than I wanted to do, I'll just pay you to do it. And so it's kind of a little sales pitch, but it's also one of the deals, if your customer is going to wash their own stuff, at least they'll do it a good way and do a good job of it by using that video. But I'm telling you, a lot of times they're going to watch that and go, no, I ain't got time for that. I'd just rather pay that guy, let him do it, and because I'm going to tear stuff up and don't know how to put it back together kind of deal. It's not that hard. You can't really, unless you start cutting stitches, the saddle's not that hard to put back together. So, but a lot of times customers, I'm that way with plumbing. You know, I called our plumber, I got our stuff patched after the freeze, and I called our plumber and went down there, they're 2 doors down, and I told him, hey, whenever you get some time, ours is working, but I need stuff replaced and fixed. Well, he's been busy. I mean, there's been people, a couple of weeks ago, he still had some people that didn't have any water to their house or their barn or whatever. And so those were priority. We weren't in a bind. But he still hadn't come in this, and I had bought a bunch of parts, and so my deal was I would rather pay him. My time is better spent in a shop making videos or working on projects than it is under my house trying to fix pipes. I know how to fix them, but I'm not as efficient as a plumber. I don't carry all that stuff. I've got to run a town a couple times usually. And so it's for me, it's simpler just to pay somebody and make that money or more in my shop and let him do what he does and let me do what I do. Coincidentally, this weekend we got a bunch of yard work done, got the garden started and all that kind of stuff. Beautiful weekend, so we spent a lot of time Sunday at the house working on yard work, and I kind of ran out of some stuff to do and had some pretty daylight left, and so I thought I'll go ahead and start piddling with these pipes. I was able to end up getting everything pretty well fixed, so everything's done. I still need him to come out because we've got a couple little issues that are beyond me, so I'm gonna have him look at. But as far as all the breakage, I fixed everything, so I was able to do that. It worked out. I wasn't doing anything else. I wasn't going to come to the shop and work, so I might as well have tried it. So the clean oil and polish, I say that to say that the clean oil and polish is kind of the same deal. Now your customer can look at that video, or you can tell them your process or whatever, and a lot of times they'll just say it's better for me just to pay you because I'm not going to do as good a job, or I don't know how to put it back together. I don't have all the stuff. That's usually a big deal. Kind of go with that. But that video series is up. We're really happy with that. I'm glad that it's out there now, and because we get a lot of calls and a lot of emails and a lot of questions on how do I clean my saddle, what's the best thing to oil the saddle with, and all that. Speaking of that, we had a lot of people comment on, I think it was on YouTube or Instagram, and asked about that video as far as olive oil going rancid. And somebody asked me, because they get that comment, that's what they use is olive oil, and somebody always comments, or customers will comment, that stuff will go rancid, don't use that on my saddle. Olive oil will not go rancid. But there, I said it. I don't know where this comes from. I think it comes more from a vegetable oil deal, and if you disagree with me, that's fine. That's fine, but I've been using olive oil for over 10 years probably. I've probably been using it the bulk of my career as far as DG Saddlery being open and in business, and I have never had olive oil go rancid, even in August when it's 100 and something degrees, and I've had it out in a shop where it was not climate controlled, and I've never seen it just get foul. Vegetable oil, I know a bunch of makers that just use vegetable oil. They'll go to Academy or HEB or whatever and buy gallons of vegetable oil, and that's what they oil with. Nothing wrong with that at all, but I have seen vegetable oil go rancid. We used to do a lot of fish fries and stuff, and you'd buy them big gallon jugs, and for whatever reason you keep them in the garage or your little outdoor kitchen or whatever, and in the summertime here, it'll get hot, and I've opened those bottles brand new, and not old oil, but brand new oil, and open that bottle, peel a little sticker off the spout, and that stuff smells foul, like I wouldn't even cook with it, and stuff. So for me, a vegetable oil, yes, that'll go rancid. I would think olive oil, I know olive oil does not. I've never had it go rancid on me. There is some talk too that it attracts rats. I don't think so. I think rats are attracted to leather, especially saddles that you have in a saddle house that you don't ride. It's like the rats know, and they're like, hey, he's not riding this one, let's eat on it. So they're going to eat that. They're going to eat rawhide. They're going to chew on leather. And if you are in the habit of putting your pad on top of your saddle when you put it in your saddle house, if you're using it every day, that's not a problem. But if you got a saddle that sits there for months and months, and you've got a saddle pad over the top of it, it makes a perfect little home for a group of rats or mice to live in your saddle seat and tear parts of that pad and make a little bed right there in the middle of your seat. And while they're in there, they get bored and they'll chew on your seat. So my suggestion when people say that it attracts rats is take care of your rat problem. Put some bait out, do whatever you got to do. Keep rats out of your saddle house. They're just attracted to leather in general. It's not the oil. I've seen them chew on dry rot saddles, which have no oil in them. So, but to answer that guy's question and to kind of put it out there, olive oil does not go rancid. And it is perfectly fine. In fact, in my opinion, it's the best thing to use on leather. And so as far as the oil goes, again, in that video we talk about oil and conditioner. So I have no problem with it. Use it up. If your customers are worried about it, you know, charge them more and buy some neat's foot oil, because neat's foot oil is expensive and it's more expensive than olive oil, and it's not as clean for me as far as getting an even color and stuff. But last week was cool. We had a fellow by the name of Kenneth Horton that came to visit us, him and his wife. And if you remember a few videos back, he had made us the acrylic sign. It's out there on our sales floor, and it lights up and it strobes. It does some pretty neat stuff. And he's got High Tech Redneck on Instagram, so if you want to check him out. So it's really cool. He brought us a couple gifts. He brought us some Yeti cups that he engraved our logo on. And so he's got a laser engraver, and so he does a lot of that stuff too. And he just does a lot of different things. He's into a lot of hobbies. Kenneth stays pretty busy. So, but he brought us those cups. I'd show them to you, but my wife and both my kids stole them. So the kids got 2 new Yeti cups, or one Yeti cup apiece, and my wife got a new one. And so I don't have them to show you, but I still got my little styrofoam cup, and so that's fine with me. But yeah, we had a good visit. He came in and visited, and we talked about barbecue. He builds a lot of barbecue pits and stuff. Just a really, really neat guy. Check out his Instagram, and you'll just find he does a lot of different things. He was really cool, and we really enjoyed the visit. So thank y'all for stopping by. We also had, real quick, while we're talking about stuff, I've got something that somebody sent me, and it was a real nice letter from the Martins. They sent me a really nice letter, and it's from the Martins, and they have this Martins mix here, and it's an edge solution. I have not opened it yet, and I haven't used it. I think I've seen this before. I haven't really done much with a lot of edge solutions. I just use water and glycerin soap. But I'm excited to try this. I'm going to try some of this and see how it works on some stuff, and I'll update you next week on the Monday morning briefing and let you know how it works. But I'm assuming they sell this. It's martinsmix.com, MARTINS mix.com, and really neat stuff. I'm assuming that it's just for slicking. It's not like an edge dye. It's just like a solution to. It says on the front, shake well, apply to edge, and burnish. So I'm going to give that a shot. Like I said, I'm going to do some edges with it probably this week, and then I'll let y'all know next week how it works. But thank you, Martins, for sending me that. That was very, very nice and a very, very thoughtful card. And so we'll definitely put some of that to use and see what we think about it. Real quick update on the rope bag. If you're following my stories, you saw we got it put together. It is a rather large bag, as you could probably tell from the pieces as we have been working on this bag. It went together really, really well. We are doing a video. I've got a ton of footage for this bag that I'm going to have to sort through and go through to get that video put together. But I've missed a couple little spots here and there, but it'll all come together and you'll get the gist of it. Like I said, it's not going to have a pattern pack, but it'll show you how to build one of these. They're not super difficult. They're just big, and so they take a lot of material. At times it's handy to have an extra set of hands in the shop just to help hold some of this stuff up, but it went together really well. I'm really happy with it. Now all we got to do is make our straps, so we're going to get at that today and get the straps made, and this bag will be ready to ship out and ready to go. And so we're really happy with how it went together. Biggest thing on these is you've got 3 panels. So you've got the front panel, the center divider, and then the back panel. The biggest thing is keeping them all aligned, because mine have a flat bottom. If you do them round, it's not as bad, but you still have to pay attention to that or you'll get a weird twist in that bag. If you don't have the panels all aligned correctly, then you'll get a weird twist. And especially on this one with a flat bottom, if you get a weird twist, it'll toggle real bad. It won't sit flat on the bench. And so that's really the only trick. And I'll show you in the video. We kind of use a center mark on our pattern and when we put our gussets in, and then kind of glue up and then set it up and make sure it's straight before we sew it up. But that's the rope bag, just about done. Bag itself is done, just got to do the straps, and then it will go to its new home and show off some good ropes, I guess. That's what they're for, carrying ropes around. Expensive piece of luggage to carry your ropes. Really fun project though. I think I'm going to make one of these for the sales floor. When? I have no idea, but I think I'm going to make one for the sales floor. I may just do a single compartment. I don't know. I like these the best. Also this weekend, Saturday, I spent the day patterning up a tap, or a tapadero, or a toe fender. A lot of people call them a lot of different things. And so we used a 3-inch Bell Nettles stirrup. So it's a Nettles brand 3-inch Bell, and they call them their Dukes. So these are my #1 stirrups for guys if they're not wanting to spend a ton. They run about $100. They're really nice stirrups. And so we got those from Nettles there in Madisonville. They sent us the stirrups. I took the bolts out. One trick on these is once you take the bolts out, Nettles uses these real nice little acorn kind of nuts on the end. So they look real nice. The problem is that piece of all thread, once you put your tap on, is too short. So I'm going to have to get some all thread, cut new all thread for it, and then screw those nuts on the outside once we finalize the tap and put it in here. But anyway, I didn't have a really good pattern for a tap. I had one that was similar to this, but I didn't like the way the kind of nose of it looked. They call these a Bullnose Tap or a Bulldog Tap. And they're very popular here in Texas and stuff, as far as especially in the brush country down this way. A lot of guys like riding with toe fenders, and so I went ahead and took some time and I made a pattern that I think will work now. I don't know where the pattern is. I think I've already filed it away, but this is what it looks like once it's cut out and all the holes are punched. But it's just laced through, goes together. I lace it up wet and then shape it and then let it dry around the stirrup, and makes a pretty nice hard little toe fender here that'll kind of protect you from getting hung up in the brush and stuff like that. So we did that, and we're gonna do the other one this morning and get that done. That's for the saddle that we finished. We finished one of the saddles, the ranch saddle. It's pretty well done, and so we'll show you that here in just a second. So just a little quick note. We have started TBall, so if you've called the shop on a Monday or a Wednesday and gotten my voicemail, you've noticed that we're going to be out of the shop at about 4:15, 4 o'clock on Monday and Wednesdays as of right now for TBall practice. So my wife and I are actually coaches. We've actually got 6 teams in this little town, and so I think there's 5 or 6 kids per team. So it's pretty fun. So it's fun. It's like herding cats. They just want to play and run and hit the base, or hit the ball and run the bases and stuff. But it's a good time. But from 4 to 5, I'm usually out at that. So if you come on a Monday or a Wednesday afternoon, just know that I will be out of the shop from 4 to 5. I usually come back over here, work for about an hour, and then head home. But last week we had a gentleman named Anthony that came by to visit, and really enjoyed the visit with him. But I felt bad because I was actually at T-Ball, and when I was driving back, it's just right, it's a block from here. And when I was driving back downtown, there was a truck and a guy standing out there by his truck in front of my shop, and I thought, oh, I bet that's somebody for the shop. So sure enough, he had been there. I think he got there about 4:30. So no big deal. We let him in and visited and kind of helped him out. He does some leather work getting started and stuff, and so that was cool. But just wanted to let y'all know that. But we usually put it on our voicemail in the mornings. When we set that, we'll let you know if we're going to be out of the shop early that day or something like that, aside from times I don't know about when I'm going to be out. But otherwise, we're here. Let me grab some coffee, and I'm going to show y'all what we did on the saddles last week. All right, so our roping saddle, we got the seat put in. I guess I put this in on Thursday or Friday, so it had time to dry, and then I came in, and on Saturday I did final cut as far as the way the seat's gonna look. I've still got to pin my skirt up and cut this piece here, do some sanding and stuff, but I'm happy with the way the seat's in. It's gonna be a hard seat. We'll stitch around the seat, get this put in, and then we'll be able to get our binder tooled and our swell cover tooled and get this saddle rolling, and hopefully get it pretty close to being finished up this week. And this is our other ranch saddle that we just started. Like I said, I like to kind of get some more started that coming up behind the ones I'm finishing, and that way we've always got some to work on. And so I've got to pull another tree up here, but this is a ranch saddle that we need to get built and out of here. We got the horn covered, ground seat's been done, got the horn on, so we'll sew this horn and finish this out today, and then we'll be able to get a swell cover on and start fitting some bigger parts and get this one rolling right behind these two as well. And so here's our ranch saddle. We've gotten the oil on here. What I usually do is I'll oil it 1 or 2 coats, and then we'll go over it with Skidmores, and then I like to give it 2 or 3 days to just let it float out. And as you can see, our front's a little darker than the rest of the saddle. This isn't too bad, but the fenders and the seat especially, right here in the dish, all this is glued down, so the only oil that's coming in is from the top. Here in the fenders, you're able to oil the backside. So when you're oiling a new saddle or something, anything new, you kind of got to remember that, you know, as far as the way you're putting it, if you're putting it on both sides, it's going to get darker faster there than it will here. So what I do is I end up just adding a little bit of oil over those 2 or 3 days and try to get everything to float out where it's the same color. And so we'll add another little light coat of oil today and see how that floats in, and maybe some on the fenders to just match. The swell cover is the oldest piece of leather on this saddle because we put the horn and the swell cover on first because it was an inskirt rig. It's been kind of sitting underneath these lights this whole time, and so it took oil a lot darker to start with. Once this thing gets out in the sun, it'll even out really, really quickly once the guy starts riding it and using it. But this saddle is just about ready to go. We've got our billets over here on the oiling bench, and all we've got to do is finish those taps. Those are going on here, and finish the flank girt and the breast collar, and this saddle will be ready to go. All right, so we got our leather shipment in. It came in Friday afternoon. We got all the leather, the 3/4 ounce and the 9/10. So we are cutting more belt blanks. I cut a bunch this weekend, so we've got some in there. So hopefully by the time this video comes out, and if you're watching this, hopefully they're already on the website. I will also put it on Instagram that we have posted these belt blanks for sale. And we're still cutting, you know, knife sheaths and the wallet pack. We're going to be adding some new products to that too over the next week or so as we get those finalized. But the belt packs, we'll have those restocked. We also have more sheepskin. Those are going quick, but we'll put those on the website as well. But what I wanted to do real quick was to bust open one of these packs and kind of show you. Somebody had asked if we were going to do an unboxing kind of deal as far as showing you leather. I thought, well, why not? We'll go ahead and do it on Monday morning video. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up and show you what it kind of looks like when you open up a roll. I think there's probably gonna be 5 hides in here, 5 sides. And so we'll go ahead and get this opened up and see what this leather looks like. And when you order leather from Herman Oak, it's gonna come banded with these little plastic bands. And recently, they have started wrapping it in heavy paper, like a heavy cardboard, which has been nice because if your leather sits in that paper for any length of time, these bands with these fluorescent lights, it'll actually shine through that brown paper, and you'll get stain marks, light stain marks from the lights where those bands were on the hide, and so on the outer hide, so whichever one's on the outside, and that's real frustrating. To have one whole hide that's light stained, you still use it, but you're not gonna be able to get a seat out of it without having those lines in there. So, Herman Oak has recently started putting this heavier paper in. I'll show you. They didn't put it on this one. On my big skirting sides, they've been putting on a big heavy cardboard. I just threw one in the dumpster, but it's a big heavy cardboard, but that one they didn't put it on there. Maybe they only do it on the skirting. Sorry. So there's our hides. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's usually how they'll pack them when it comes to 9/10 and stuff like that. They usually pack 5. to a roll. I've got on 3/4, I've got all 10. I get 10 sides of each, and we're probably about to double that. We'll see how fast these sell when I get these belt lengths cut, but we'll probably have to double that again. We were getting 5 and 5 when we first started, and then that second shipment I said do 10 and 10 because that's not enough, and that's what we've done the last 3, I guess. And so we might go to 10 and 10, 20 and 20 just to have plenty. But what I usually do once I unpack these hides is go ahead and look at them. If some of them don't look good enough to strip for belts, I'll set them off to the side and we'll cut other packs out of them. I've got some other ideas, some different projects I may add to the website on a limited basis, like a portfolio or a notebook or something like that, and I'll have to hand cut stuff for now. And I don't have enough material to do 50 of those on the website, but we may add 2 or 3 of them or something here pretty soon, and if you want to build one, we'll have those ready to go. But I just kind of go through them and sort them. I like to look at them and choose them out. That's what I do on my saddle leather too, like the heavy skirting, is we will go through and look at all the hides, pick out the ones that are really good for seats. Because sometimes especially on rough out, do a lot of rough out, you'll have some butcher cuts and stuff in some spots where it's like, well, you can't get a seat right there because of that cut or this cut. So we'll go ahead and sort those out, and then which ones we're going to use for stirrup leathers or straight cuts and stuff like that. And so I do the same with this belt leather. We'll just kind of go through it and sort it. But that's opening up one whole roll. And like I said, if you're interested in getting with the tannery and getting this quantity of leather, you've got to buy 10 sides of anything to get from them. If you're going to do that, get with Robert at Larry Lewis Leather Sales, and they're there in Bryan, Texas. They have a website and stuff. You can certainly get with him, and they're the Herman Oak rep for this area down here in Texas, and they can get you hooked up with a tannery and get ahead of your leather consumption. And that's the biggest deal, is trying to it's an investment, but it's nice when you've got the leather in your shop and you kind of know every 6 weeks I'm going to need this much or whatever. And if you'll plan it out, order it ahead of time, you know, it takes 2 to 3 weeks. They don't keep anything in stock. They make your leather, so you tell them what you want and what sizes and all that. They'll make the leather and then ship it to you. And so efficiency-wise, it works really good, but you've got to be planned out and ahead of yourself, and you've got to need to consume that much leather because it is quite a bit. Takes a lot of storage. Speaking of storage, somebody had asked a question, I don't remember where, but somebody asked a question about the A-frame that I got. I picked this up at the at that deal down there at the Textan deal in Yoakum, that liquidation thing. Not very complicated. The main reason I wanted one is because I want to build another one. These things are really handy. It does have little casters on the bottom, which I would recommend, so you can roll it around. It makes it a little bit easier. There was some there that didn't have them, but I'd much rather, and they're just the cheap little casters. They're not anything big. But somebody had asked about dimensions because they wanted to make one. So I'm going to give you those dimensions right now on this one, which is the only reason I bought one, because I want to make one. I didn't want to have to do the math myself. So this one's about 5 foot tall, so 60 inches tall from the base of it, not counting the casters. So just the base of the wood up to the apex here. And it looks like what they did, if you look right here, it looks like all they did was they just cut this angle off the 2x4. This is all made out of 2x4s. They cut that angle and then they just notched it out for another 2x4 to sit down in there. And that way, you know, it makes a nice area there, just a nice straight line. But yeah, it's very simple to make. You can do it however you want to, but it's 5 foot tall, 44 inches long. So it looks like about 44 inches from front to back. And then the base of it is 28 inches wide. And so, and they have, you can look here, move some of this leather. They've got like a board that runs, just a brace board that runs from this cross brace here down to a cross brace across the bottom. There was another one there too that was a neat idea that I'll probably add to this one, or the one I build, which was they just had a plywood box on the bottom that just came up about yay high, and then it was just plywood box is all it was. And then that way you could add small scrap pieces in there. And to me, that was a great idea because you've always got a lot of, maybe hard to get in if you've got a bunch of stuff hanging on there, but The little A-frame I think is great. The footprint on it isn't very large, and so it allows me to store a lot of, like, all these are bellies and cutoffs for straight edge and sides. It allows me to store all that in a smaller area than on a bench. And I'm always needing to drape reins or drape strips of leather or bellies or whatever over something. And so that tends to work really good. And so that's why I wanted to get that one. And we'll probably build a couple more because I could use one in there as well. But that's the A-frame. All right, guys, that's all I got for you this week. Like I said, a lot happened last week, a lot going on, a lot of projects going. We'll try to get those belt blanks on as quick as we can, and the sheepskin packs, and we got more stuff coming on. Last week we had a very cool episode on Lost Trade, and it was with Big Sky Mohair Cinches, Dana and Tracy over there. Really enjoyed that episode, had a lot of good feedback on it. Seems like a lot of you folks already knew who they were, and so that's always cool. I'm not sure if we're going to have a podcast this week just because we didn't have any interviews last week, just had too much stuff going on. I've got some interviews scheduled for this week, but that podcast may not go until next week. So if you don't see anything on Thursday, then just assume we're dark this week. Just trying to, we had a bunch of them piled up and we kind of used them a couple weeks in there, so but we do have interviews scheduled out and stuff like that. But if you haven't listened to the episode from last week on Lost Trade, check that out on Apple or Spotify, and we've got a ton of episodes on there that you can check out at this point. So we're having a lot of fun with it. We're going to keep it going. Otherwise, be sure and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next week in the Monday Morning Briefing.